Now, 6:30. If we please get the roll call.
Yeah. Ellis. Here. Ramsey.
Here.
Bacon.
Here.
Hodgkin. Here. Lawrence.
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
Morrison. Here. Bertini.
Here.
Fredo.
Here.
Theodore.
Here.
Swore. Here. Taylor.
Here.
Orr.
Here.
Thank you.
Council President Swarr.
Should we do the pledge of allegiance?
Sorry. Yes. Right behind that. We like to move it around.
Keep it on ourselves.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They do.
We can motion to approve tonight's agenda with the removal of the presentation from Chief Bowling and the second public comment period due to time constraints.
Second.
Any comments?
Yes, I just wanted to point out that, that the agenda we received is different from the published agenda online, and there is an item E for public works regarding the zoning code.
We have to put it on the side, so we'll be ready Wednesday.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. So we're just gonna have one public comment, so we'll, have our first public comment or our only comment period right now, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we're under time constraints, so we have to be out of here exactly at 9 o'clock tonight, so, no going over, please. And just that, please. Process. So list your name and your address and then if it's on fluorine, then or fluoride, sorry. Then just wait for that part to come out later.
No,
There's no hearing.
our public hearing tonight is, on the business license application.
Okay, so.
So if it's in that-
It's on fluorine, then bring them up now.
How do you turn this on?
The rest are-
The little head, the first. Does it have the battery in the back?
No, there's no light coming on.
Push down on the microphone, so into the.
Oh, yeah, push the microphone at the
Yeah.
base of it. Thank you. The base of the microphone. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Good.
No, that's fine. Fault.
Oh, there it is.
Sure.
You want to borrow mine?
You can take this one.
This isn't counting against my time, is it?
Time's up, Steve.
Good evening. I'm Steve Haywood. I live on Sixth Street, Ward 4. I imagine all of you got my email. This happens every single day, morning, noon, and night. That motorcycle, I still really don't know where he lives. And I'd really like to talk to him, and I signaled at him the other day to slow down, and he flipped me off, and I was looking in my mirror as he's flipping me off, and he's swerving all over the road. He passed that van right in front of my house 2 days ago. That van was turning right there. There's children there. If a child was decided to go across there, or that van stopped for that child, that bike would have hit him. The speeding up there is just ridiculous. I would like to see a stop sign and a couple of speed humps, and I don't know what the problem is. They're not that expensive. If a child dies, you know, that's gonna be expensive. I lost 2 cousins, a brother and a sister, a year and a half apart, both killed by a hit and run driver. An uncle who was killed by a car walking across the street. My grandson, 16 years old, was hit in town here and ran over. Thank God he can still walk. He has a little bit of a limp, but it hasn't slowed him down. But I've been through it. Okay, a lot of people don't think. They think, oh, I'm just all whatever. Okay, I'm sick of it. Speed kills. And I'm talking about the speed in cars. And these people are racing up and down Sixth. If you come from Broadway towards Sixth, West Sixth, and you come by that, used to be Jones Photography Studio, and now a dance thing, it's for sale now. But if you look, that is a sweet, nice straight stretch, for people to pick up speed. And then that accident that night, and I talked to some people up there, they're sick of the speed. People try to take a shortcut so they don't have to go through town. But we need something desperately because somebody is going to get killed up there. I waited today 5 minutes coming across Canyon Court Bridge, waiting for deer to cross. It took them 5 minutes because there was a couple of little babies, like 4 or 5 months old. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, come on, you better get across. There's a car coming up behind me. And I don't know if I can stop him from passing me. If they do that, they'll get right on your tail. I come to my house and I swing to the left and back in my driveway. I make sure no one's coming. I swing there like that, put it in reverse. And unfortunately, I was in my daughter's car, so I didn't hit him. But he went around me. He wouldn't even wait for me to finish backing up into my driveway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bill Osmondson. I'm a dentist. I have a master's in public health. I was here before and talked to you about freedom. We just pledged our allegiance to the flag, freedom for all. In 2006, the National Research Council, the advisors to the nation, told the EPA that their maximum contaminant level of fluoride was not protective. Over a dozen reasons why it's not protective. Recently, the National Toxicology Program, the highest toxic assessment authorities in the US, published their first part of their report. And they said fluoride in this much Aberdeen water is not safe for a pregnant mother, for her offspring. But they didn't say what the safe level was, because the next section, when we looked at the draft, doesn't have any safe level of fluoride ingestion. The US District Court just ruled that this much fluoride is unreasonable in water because of its harm to the developing brain. Now, in the court case, I was listening to the court on Zoom, and the experts hired by the EPA paid thousands of dollars, over $100,000 to testify, said that yes, this would be a problem for the developing brain. This much, the fluoride in this much Aberdeen water would cause brain damage. And the judge said to him, so what would change your mind and tell you that this much fluoride could be a problem? And he paused and he said, oh, 1 or 2 more studies. Now, the National Toxicology Program used over 500 studies. 19 of the 20 of the best studies showed harm, and he wants 1 or 2 more. I laughed because that's what the tobacco industry was saying also. I got 47 seconds left. I wanted to talk to you about the lack of benefit. I was so convinced that fluoridation had benefit. I could see it in my patients. Patient would walk on in, I'd look in their mouth, and I'd tell my assistant, she lives in town getting fluoridated water. Next guy come in, and I said, oh, he lives up in the mountains. He's not getting fluoridated water. She said, what do you know? I said, I'm the doctor. No, I was teasing her. But really, I could see the difference. Where I was wrong is there are many different factors for why people have decay. And I was giving fluoridation the credit when it wasn't fluoridation at all. Socioeconomics is far greater. There's the, next time I'll talk to you more.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria and I'm the library manager for the Aberdeen Library. I think we're in Ward 5. Tonight I wanted to talk to you about an app called Locable app. So if you don't have it on your phone, I'm hoping I can convince you to get it on your phone tonight. The Locable app is your go-to resource for everything happening in downtown Aberdeen. Explore a variety of options, including dining, sipping, shopping, arts, services, and events. Available for both Android and Apple devices, this app is is easy to download and use. Right now, you can check out 8 exciting events, including Winterfest, Halloween Spooktacular, teen hangout at the library, an author talk with John Hughes, family story time, playgroup, and more. So don't miss out. Download the Locable app today and stay connected with your community. Thank you.
Victoria,
Yes.
is that LOCABLE?
Locable.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments?
We have one online.
Okay.
Skylar, if you're still with us and want to comment, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, it took me a second. My name is Kyler Danielson. I'm the land use project manager for Lakeside Industries. Lakeside has been operating its asphalt plant in Aberdeen since the 1980s. And throughout that time, our operations have provided an essential service to the community by both paving the majority of the roads throughout the county and also selling asphalt to the city, county, and neighboring local governments for their paving use. Your drive to this meeting was probably on roads paved by Lakeside or used with Lakeside's asphalt. The city's proposed zoning code seeks to rezone Lakeside asphalt plant to a new waterfront zone. And we were pleased to see that the waterfront zone will allow light industrial use, but asphalt is not specifically listed as one of those light industrial uses. So I'm requesting that the city make a small change to their proposed zoning code to add asphalt manufacturing to the light industrial use section, which is located in section 1745020, and it's on page 101 of the draft from, I think, September 25. Currently, the section includes a subsection 10, which lists stone, clay, glass, and concrete products within the light industrial zone. And asphalt manufacturing creates similar impacts to concrete manufacturing. So we think it's appropriate for asphalt to be included in that subsection. The change would be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and with its overall proposed zoning plans, and it would be consistent with the existing use at the location. So I'm planning on following up with a letter to the council and the community planning director on this, and I'm happy to speak with any of you on this request. Thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Kyler. Is there any other comments?
Hi, my name is Kim McCollum. I live on F Street. I've been here for 3.5 years, and these last few months have been the worst months of my life ever. I live right on the alley there between E and F on 1st and 2nd. The homeless people will not stay off my porch. I've had pneumonia twice in 4 months because I have asthma. They won't stay off my porch. They're smoking there. They're trashing my car. We caught somebody one time, but it still cost me. It didn't cost them. They just, I had to pay for the insurance. My insurance rates have gone up. They've actually vandalized my car 5 times since December. And there's just no respect. I've been calling the police But the problem is the house behind my house is a drug house of which I have reported, and he has a scanner. So when I call the police, we hear them running down the alley. The police will be here in 5 minutes. We need to get out of here. So, I mean, I don't know what to do. They're throwing their needles in my yard, and I have dogs that come in high on drugs because they chew on the needles. I'm at a loss. Like I said, I've called the police. They say, well, unless we can catch or take pictures, there's nothing they can do. I was gonna put up cameras. I spent a lot of money on them. And they're like, well, if they tear them down, that's on you too. I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss. I feel as though they have more rights than I do. And, it's really hard on me. We chose this area because it's close to my church and I wanted to be in the community of my church. I go to B Street Church, New Beginnings. And I just wanted to be in the community of my church. But I have never been afraid of anything or anybody in my life, but I'm afraid now. And I'm at a loss of what to do. Like I said, I've gone to the police, I've gone to the police station and talked to them. And they tell me they're trying. They said last month they had arrested over 100 people, but that's not taking down the numbers in my alley, not taking down the numbers on my porch every day. And I'd like to know what my rights are and, what do I have that I can do? Because I can't afford for them to keep destroying my property, at their own will.
Can you tell us what your address was?
208 North F Street.
I would like your phone number, maybe your contact information before you leave.
Yes,
That's okay.
Okay, is there any other public comment?
My name is Crystal and I am in Ward 6. And I'm just kind of curious if any of you guys have an idea of the cost that it costs to go to court to be able to get somebody out of your house that has decided that they want to move in without like squatter rights. What's going to be done with those people that think that they can just walk into an abandoned house or a house somebody is fixing up to rent out next, and then people start moving in and then they have to pay to have the squatters taken care of? So is there something that we can do about the squatters to where they have no rights to these places because they don't own them, they don't pay rent, they don't pay utilities, So that's just kind of a question I've had on my mind. Thank you.
If there's no more comments, then we'll move on to the consent agenda with our council president.
Yes, motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, which includes minutes from the September 25th meeting, accounts payable and payroll.
Second. Moved in second, is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Then we have a presentation from, let's see, city administrator, Clemens, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. I wanted to present a long-awaited presentation to all of you regarding recreational vehicle parking throughout the city. I wanted to give you a little bit of background on this particular topic. One of the things that we had been waiting for outside of the Grants Pass or Johnson versus Grants Pass case was Potter versus City of Lacey, which came soon after the ruling on Grants Pass, which affirms the authority cities have to enact and enforce parking regulations We also have Aberdeen Municipal Code Title 10 that was impacted, which didn't allow us to address people living in their vehicles around the city. But I think that this also, what we're proposing today would also address not only that, but just other RVs parked around the city that are parked on the city streets. So the recommendation that I want to bring to all of you is to amend and create a new sections in AMC chapter 10.20 to define new restrictions of the parking of commercial and recreational vehicles within the city. So part of the first part of this is regarding a residential program. Before you'll have the policy that I've kind of drafted. Again, it's just a draft. The HRC provided heavy feedback into that as well. But one of the things we wanted to be really careful of is we wanted it to mirror exactly what the city of Lacey is doing, because that is what has been held up in court. Any additions or changes that we want to propose to it, we risk kind of like, we put ourselves at risk for a lawsuit. So I just want to emphasize that it's very important that we try to mirror what it is exactly that Lacey is doing. So part of the program that I'd like to talk about is the residential program, which would limit RVs, trailers, boat trailers, and parking all over the city to 4 hours. Residents may park temporarily for the purpose of like loading or unloading or for a reasonable amount of time, so long as it doesn't impede traffic. Temporary, but if you need a little bit longer, so you need maybe 48 hours, we could extend it up to 48 hours. You could receive a temporary permit, and it should be affixed to the window and clearly displayed. Now, so that would impact everyone living around the city. So then the other portion of this policy that we're proposing is the non-resident program, which would require a safe parking place. The place that we would like to recommend to all of you is the City Hall parking lot. I know that there's a lot of heartburn from who's still there from the tassel. So I just wanted to reassure you that this is very different than tassel. This would just allow people a place to park from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. It would also have a porta potty on site and a hand washing station, similar, again, that mirrors what Lacey uses. Lacey uses their City Hall parking lot as well. The porta potty would be locked during the day. It would be reopened by a police officer. APD, I talked to the chief yesterday, would handle unlocking and locking the facility. APD will patrol the site. APD will conduct the background checks of those individuals that want to stay there. And they will lock and unlock the on-site restroom facility, as I stated. So I'm going to dive into the non-resident program because that might be the one that is of most interest. So to be able to park on this site, visitors require a permit. Now, what does it take to get a permit? That means that they must be engaged with social services. They must have a government issued driver's license or identification. There are people that there may be more than one person staying, and all people that are in the RV must have a government issued ID. They must have a valid vehicle insurance, valid vehicle registration, and their vehicle must meet all standards and requirements to legally operate. They also must undergo a background check conducted by the police department. So they can't have any outstanding warrants from any jurisdictions, and they must not be a registered sex offender. Permits have to be clearly displayed. Campers and trailers must still remain connected to their vehicles, and no cords, no plugging in, no hoses, no awnings, anything, no sleeping or no hanging out outside the vehicle or anything like that. Now, when it came to that resource engagement portion, the city of Lacey contracts with a group that provides services. They will go and interact with people similar to what DHR is already doing, like Destination Help and Recovery. They will engage with homeless folks and they will, try to get them enrolled in programs, get them treatment, get them whatever they need, basically. So they are required, if they are going to stay on site, they are required. We would issue a referral to a community resource group who would then come on site and start the interaction, start the process of getting them enrolled. So that is a requirement to stay on site. So that could look like case management, health insurance navigation, recovery navigation, employment case navigation, and housing case navigation. So, and that team combined with the, Aberdeen Police Department would be called the Mobile Outreach Team. Now, violations, similar to what Lacey is proposing or mirroring would be a $40 violation for those who park their RVs or their trailers for longer than 4 hours on the street would be $40. And then vehicles that have people actively living in them that have not moved their vehicles or those vehicles will be towed. So having this program and having this safe parking place will allow us to tow RVs. I know that's been a great burden for the council as well as the community. And so this is the way that we can do that. I will state that the city of Lacey maybe will have one person take them up on it because most of the time they don't have their vehicles not registered. They basically have left town. The people that genuinely want to engage, that genuinely want help will use it. They said that at the peak, when we spoke to the city of Lacey at the peak of its usage, they had 5 motorhomes use the space. I went to the city of Lacey with Councilmember Hodgkin and Councilmember Pericini, and we spoke with the 2 officers, their chief of police, and then the officer that actually runs the program. And they're having great success throughout the city. So my recommendation is I would like to bring an amended ordinance to chapter 10.20 to all of you for consideration and for first reading. And so I just wanted to open it up for discussion if you have any questions at all regarding this program. Stan?
Thank you.
Councilmember Sedor?
Thank you, appreciate it. Couple of quick questions come to mind. First off, it says that you must have proof of being actively engaged in social services, or that you must be actively engaged in social services and must have proof of the following: government ID, vehicle insurance registration. What proof are we going to require of them to show that they're actively engaged in social services? Or is it this referral thing you're talking about?
It's the referral.
Okay. And then says the issued permit will only be valid within designated areas of the city. I assume that means the city hall parking lot, for a period indicated on the permit not to exceed 12 hours per day. How many days is it going to be allowed? Is it going to continue ongoing as long as they're in treatment or getting service? And where do they go the rest of the day, and what kind of enforcement mechanism will we have for that? Are they just going to go and park on a city street then again somewhere?
For 4 hours at a time, yes. For 4 hours at a time. That is their right, but you can park for 4 hours. This is the way that the city of Lacey has it. You can park for 4 hours, but you have to leave for 24 hours. And then you can come back and park for.
So that will be part of the ordinance?
Yes, if you would like that to be part of the ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
And they have to apply for a permit every day. So if I were gonna camp tonight, I would have to go to the police station and get a permit for tonight. And then tomorrow you get a new permit.
Seriously?
Yes.
Okay, so does that mean they have to pay $40 every?
No, they're not paying.
They're not paying anything
No.
for that?
No.
That's just for.
No, it's just so that
visitors,
we know
for residents.
we're accountable for every single person that's in our parking lot.
Got
Yeah,
So $40 is a violation,
Got it.
is a violation.
So
It's
before
not-
they leave, they have to go in and get another permit for the next day, and then they can park somewhere for 4 hours and they have to leave town for 24
Yes, that's the way he explained it to us.
Okay, so if they leave town for 24 hours, they wouldn't be parking consecutively every night?
No, that's if they choose to park in the city for 4 hours.
Okay,
Then they would.
so they actually should leave,
They
go
actually
out of
should.
town, otherwise they're gonna be within that 24-hour window thing. And then also, so this just pertains to, motorhomes, correct?
Trailers.
Trailers, motorhomes. So,
boats, that kind of
in
car.
speaking to Lacey, the cars and the trucks that people were living in, that's considered camping
Yes,
and is no longer allowed.
correct.
Okay, that's good.
And Oh,
I'm sorry, I had Mel, excuse me, Councilmember Taylor.
That was my question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't want to. Councilmember Lawrence?
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh.
I'll circle back around.
Yeah. Councilmember Ellis, please.
Thank you. So will this, affect people who park cars on the street, who live in apartment buildings that may not have on-site parking?
No, this would only be for like recreation vehicles, RVs, yeah, and trailers, boats, that sort of thing that you see people take up parking.
And so, and when you're talking about, cars and trucks, that they would just be people living in them, not you've got your car parked on the street because there's no place for you to park in a garage. It's just people that are living in their vehicle, right? Yeah, so they're not.
That's camping, that's
Yeah,
considered.
yeah, that's camping, yeah.
Yeah.
These vehicles are all gonna be licensed and insured, that's correct?
Everyone.
Because
Just
I
like
see
the rest
some
of
around
us.
town that
Don't even have plates.
Those people, and that's one of the things the city of Lacey had stated is that those people leave town. So, yes, Councilmember Lawrence.
I apologize if this was already covered, but, so how many times of getting that $40 infraction before it's towed?
That's a good question. I can talk with parking enforcement to see like how it's laid out right now. It's probably somewhere embedded in the code right now,
Okay.
so.
And then the other issue, I know that towing of RVs has been an issue in the past. Has that been figured out?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
where are we gonna put them then? Sorry, where are we gonna put them when we tell?
We have a location, I'd rather not say, but we have a location. And in order for people to get their vehicles back, they have to show proof of ownership, title. So the city of Lacey has discovered that most people don't try to retrieve their vehicles. Because they don't have that info. Councilmember Ellis?
What's the best way for us to give you the go to, bring something back to us?
A motion would be nice for me to bring something back at the next meeting. It's ready to go. I mean, it's already kind of laid out, so if I didn't really, I heard, to have something specific laid out, I'll talk to you, Councilmember Cedar, you wanted it laid out. Yeah, a little more info, you wanted some specific information added to the policy, I will give you that.
Yeah, but you're looking for a motion right now?
Yeah.
So I shall move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
It's a long time coming. I think it's important. It's good. And I really appreciate the efforts that, City Administrator Clemens and council members Pericini and Hodgkin took to take the time to go to Lacey, talk to them about their program. And, I think, the citizens will, hopefully, they should react positively to this. It's been a long time coming. Many citizens have expressed a lot of concern and aggravation about RVs camping around the city.
Depending on the size of the RV, it will take a little bit longer. We have to contract that out depending on how long the RV is. We might have to contract outside of the county for that sort of thing, but I just want to reassure you. Another element that's kind of taken us a little bit of time is finding a group that was willing to be the mobile outreach team. We feel that we found a group that's willing to do it, and that there might be a way, because they have to get compensated in some way, and I think that we might be able to use opioid fund to kind of cover this one, so I think it would be an appropriate use.
Great.
I have a question. Sure. So what prevents us from, say, if the vehicle's in working condition, what prevents us from getting behind the wheel and driving into our location versus putting on a trailer and towing and cost all the money?
Can you put your microphone on? Yes.
Is there anything that prevents us from doing that? If it's in working condition, why couldn't we just have somebody hop behind the wheel and drive it to a lot?
Lieutenant, anything to add to that question? I don't have an answer.
Some of that's liability, and then also, we don't know what condition those vehicles are in. So now if you have an officer driving it there, it has no brakes aren't working. Because you guys can see what a lot of the conditions of those vehicles are. I don't think that's a good decision. We could really be putting the city in a liability issue with that.
20-point inspection walk around like.
I just have a quick question Ruth, about compensation for the services. Most of the service, organizations that are here in town are getting grants. Can they actually, apply for a grant to be able to assist the city with this so we don't have to use our own funds where we could use them for other things?
Well, the opioid fund does act as a grant. We only can, it has very restricted uses. Yes, we could probably look for that, but I think with how short term these people would be staying in the city, it's not like they could sign them up and get Medicare reimbursements or anything like
Okay.
that. So that's kind of
Yeah, that makes
just
sense.
an idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. All right, so, are we going to, Chief Golding now? Or, okay, code enforcement, EJ Cox.
How's it going, Mr. Mayor, City Council, distinguished guests? Thank you for having me. My name is DJ Cox, Code Enforcement Officer. I started at the beginning of June, so I kind of wanted to put a face to the name and kind of give you guys an update on what we've been able to accomplish the last 90 days, okay? All right. So. Who are we? This is just a quick, of course, myself, David Cox, and then we took on Oscar Campus. He was the downtown maintenance crew guy the last 3 years, so we thought it would be a nice little transition to have him come in, have a little support on our end and on our floor, and be good to go. So, all right. And then a little bit of what we do. Help citizens improve their quality of life is really the main thing. Enforcing property standards, that's going to be those lawns, anything over 18 inches, we're going to ask them to mow them. It's amazing how a whole neighborhood with a mowed lawn, it just looks amazing compared to having those onesies and twosies. That's all you notice. Ensuring a safe community, we took down the homeless camp, went from anywhere from 200 to 300 at the height of it to kind of the 30, 40 people that are walking around. So that's a stark improvement to what we had and making the community a much safer place. Eliminating blight. So a lot of those houses that look like junkyards in their front yard, they have cars that have been broken down there for the last 20 years or garbage up to your chest. That's something that we kind of look to eliminate that and keep those neighborhoods looking good, and ultimately keeping people safe and the education portion of it. You'd be surprised how many people, why do I have to mow my lawn? It's not a big deal. Well, when you have rats or fire hazards or anything like that, it presents the city better, but it's also a safety hazard as well. So, and then we'll also from time to time track down the local wild goats that are running through town. So we have a little fun with that. So that was a fun day we had looking for goats. So, and then what really matters is the numbers, right? So, this was through the end of September, from the beginning of June, and we opened up 301 cases. 130 of those, 34 of those were overgrown lawns. 99 of those were nuisance cases, so that's just general nuisances, those garbage, the junk cars, that kind of stuff. 42 of those are zonings, so that's people with roosters, that's people with fences, and you'd be surprised people put cows in their backyards. It would amaze you what we come across. 6 of those were no utilities, so people with no waters, no electricity for longer than 30 days. Going into winter, that's really important that we get those people on track. And then 6 cases were unfit dwellings. A lot of those go hand in hand with the no utilities. After 30 days, it's deemed unfit. 10 forceful evictions. We assist with the Grace Harbor Sheriff's Office. When they have to do an eviction, we have to be there, make sure all landlord-tenant rights are met and the people's property is in a safe location and not interfering with city travel and the right-of-ways. 4 building violations. And then the final numbers, 22 cases are still open out of that 301. A lot of those we're still working with them, or we're in contact, or those special projects that take a little bit of time or massaging. 8 unfounded cases, so we do get input from the community. They'll submit case requests, and only 8 of those were deemed no violation to be seen. And then the number we're really proud of is 271 cases were closed or abated. With 25 of those being the abated, which means the city, we gave them all the warnings in the world, ran through the legal process, and the city had to step in to take care of the violation and clean up the messy yard or mow the lawn and stuff like that. And then 246 out of 301 people complied within the given time range. So it's pretty impressive. That's a 90% close ratio. The Center of Community Progress estimates only about 30% of cases actually close. So us hitting that 90% mark is something we're really proud of. So, next slide. So some special projects we're involved in. Obviously, the State Street cleanup. We've done 5 of those, and one of those being the complete tear down of it. Chronic nuisance properties. It's something we haven't done in the last 10 years, but we kind of figured out the legal aspects and really added that into our tool belt. You'll see a house further on in the slide that was the before and after of a chronic nuisance case. Chronic nuisance is something that we're getting nonstop complaints on within a 90-day period, or the police are interacting with them quite frequently, or there was 2 drug cases within a 90 or 30-day period. I apologize. Search warrants, we'll do search warrants. So like, let's say someone's garbage is up to their chest. They're not doing anything about it. City's giving them all the resources, all the warning to take care of it. We'll go in there with the search warrant and clean that up and then place a lien on the property. Evictions, I kind of spoke about that in the previous slide. Illegal camping sites. This is something that's awesome, you guys. When we did tear down the camp, we were finding these little pockets where people were hanging out. They're almost non-existent anymore. I know on Facebook, everyone says there's these camps of 30, 40 people. We're not seeing them. We'll catch onesies and twosies a couple times a week, but the sites like Saginaw and behind on Terrace there and behind the PUD, we're not seeing any sign that anyone's even going back there. And that's due to our consistent patrolling with the police department and code enforcement. I think our first 3 hours of our day is walking around town looking for them. So stay on top of that. Knock and talks. We work with the Grace Harbor Drug Task Force and kind of some of the hot spots that they're working in. It's always seems like we're working hand in hand because we both have open cases. They just work together. Parking enforcement emphasis days. I know we've worked with George quite a bit on some of these emphases and getting some of these vehicles that have been around taken care of. And believe it or not, we actually came across an illegal scrapyard in town a couple weeks ago. They actually had a 30-foot hole dug and they were scrapping parts and burning them down. So we kind of put a stop to that, got that all filled in, and we got a case still open because we're getting rid of all the vehicles, but the State Patrol is also working with them because State Patrol takes that stuff super serious. So, all right, so I'm going to go over some before and after pictures. You can see this is the alley, a house on the alley there. It was kind of the hub where they were all hanging out, and we could see it through the 911 calls, all the garbage, all that stuff. So this was a chronic nuisance case before, and go ahead. And that's what it looked like earlier this week. So you can see the stark improvement. All right, go ahead. That's on the alley, the F Street alley there.
Oh, yeah.
That's right behind my house.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were able to shut down the house. We kind of deal with mostly private property. So we kind of did everything we could as a code enforcement to assist with some of that alley issues. This is a house we did a search warrant on earlier in the month. You can see we took out 80 yards of garbage just out of the exterior of this house. And then go ahead, and then that's what it looked like when we got all done. That RV's gone, the boats are gone, and we're working on getting that scrap vehicle out. That just takes a couple weeks because there was a registered owner, but you can see the night and day improvement. So, and then of course, the unhoused camp down there. That's the before picture of it. And then the after, we actually got green grass growing again. So right, and then what does the future look like? I would just like to thank you guys on passing the motion for what council member or city administrator Clemens was talking about when it comes to these vehicles. I think we'll be able to clean up these streets a lot and get rid of all the garbage and all the people hanging around if we can eliminate that. But what does the future look like? What are we looking forward to? Junk vehicles and RVs on private property, obviously, we can't be having that. We're gonna be looking this winter to take care of some of these properties, living in vehicles and RVs, and really maintain the momentum. I think when the unhoused camp, we shut that down, everyone felt kind of liberated. And it wasn't a moment to exhale. I think a lot of people that we were working with kind of looked at each other and said, what's next? What's on the horizon? What can we make better next? It wasn't just we're done with that. It was a what's next mentality. And I think that's part of helping Aberdeen reach its full potential. A lot of changes are being made. I know the leadership of the city is kind of committed to helping Aberdeen reach that. So. And then, of course, a special thanks to my director, Lisa Scott, the whole community development floor, Public Works, Water, Sewer Department. They're actually on the front lines. They're the ones that are out there with us cleaning all this up with all the equipment. And they don't ask questions. They just say, when and where do you need us? The Aberdeen Police Department. I think we talk to them 10 times a day and they're always willing to help and always there at the drop of the hat if we need it. And then the Grace Harbor Sheriff's Office by letting us be involved with some of these forceful evictions and everything. It's made cleaning up and that process for those citizens a lot smoother having someone from the city there instead of just a sheriff's deputy. So that's kind of the brunt of it. Any questions from you guys as a council? Casey, go ahead. Councilmember Morrissey.
Question. I just wanted to thank you for the job that you're doing. You've kind of been a breath of fresh air. Every time I've brought something to you, you are super responsive, on the ball. And it's clear that you're very engaged and passionate about your job. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Councilmember Ellis?
Yes, so I get many complaints from residents who say that their neighbors with abandoned vehicles that haven't moved in
Yep.
years. How do you follow up on something like that? And how do you identify if a vehicle is non?
Right, so there's actually a process, there's actually a state form, it's called a Hulk permit or a junk vehicle affidavit, and it's something that the state patrol has. There's certain criteria, so what we would do is we would go out and let's say someone had a Honda Civic in their backyard, and they're like, this was here before I was even here. It has to be worth a certain amount, and it has to have, there's certain criteria that allows it to be considered junk. And then if there's a registered owner to it, we fill out the form, give the property owner one, mail out the form to the last registered owner, and they have 2 weeks to take care of that. And if not, then it's considered junk. And there is some scrap tow truck companies or scrap yards that'll come take it for free. And then they just use the vehicle as payment because they can scrap those out. So there is a process in play to make sure we're not just taking vehicles willy-nilly off everything. So.
Well, following up on that, what if a vehicle is either parked on the street or in somebody's yard and it's not licensed, it's not currently registered? I mean, what kind of enforcement action do you take against owners in that case?
Yeah, absolutely. We're dealing with one right now on the main drag. He has 2 vehicles parked right in the front yard and they haven't moved. We sent him notices. Hey, you need to do this. If you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. We run them through the process. And if they ultimately don't move it, we'll get a search warrant and we can remove those from the property because it is a safety concern sitting on all the pipes and everything. As far as city streets go, I don't have any jurisdiction on the city streets. That would be a parking enforcement issue. Okay, so yeah.
DJ, can I add one thing to that? From a zoning code standpoint, you are allowed one junk vehicle and you are not necessarily junk. You're allowed one vehicle that may not be licensed or you're working on that's inoperable, but it has to be behind in your backyard, behind a side obscuring fence or in your garage.
So I was curious also on no utilities. Does that include garbage service?
Yes.
So if somebody.
Well, not for the unfit structure. There is a code for compulsory garbage service. So it's got its own ordinance.
But I mean, if somebody is living in a house, they have water, they have electricity, but they're not paying for a garbage service, they're not using it, and they're just throwing garbage in their backyard. Is there a way to force them to pay for garbage service and to subscribe to it?
Within the city of Aberdeen, you're required to have.
Yeah, you are required.
To have.
How do we enforce that?
That's, they get their first notice, let them know of the violation, and then they get a subsequent notice, and then ultimately, so.
All right.
Yeah, ultimately you'll get fined
Fine,
and
yep.
then, the city will go in, rectify the situation and then lien the property. And that's what DJ referred to earlier.
Yep.
And the other question.
Go ahead, Dan.
Finish up here. I appreciate knowing that we're working towards dealing with these vehicles that people are living on in the streets, whether they're campers or just cars or trucks. But we still have a ways to go. There's a lot of junk vehicles that are just hanging out. Maybe somebody's not even living in it, but they're just junk vehicles. We really need to focus on that, take care of that. But what are we also doing? You know, the lady here on F Street really spoke up tonight, and I see it quite regularly. I try to drive by at least 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more if I can, around that E and F Street, First and Second, and there's just continuing to be people hanging out all over there. And in particular, yesterday or today, I forgot which it was, there's a whole group of people that were right in front of the apartments on F Street, just north of First Street. And, you know, they looked like they might not be up to some good. And how do we deal with that and take care of that? We've got to do more. I know we've been doing a lot. I appreciate what the police have been doing, you know, to take care of especially that alleyway. Appreciate what you guys have done on that. Appreciate what Public Works has done on everything. But, you know, I don't know, maybe this is a question for your police officer father back there, but, you know, what are we doing with loitering and hanging out? And maybe Director Administrator Clemens can deal with that.
So
Thank you.
we met with, CTC this last week, to the occupant of the building that has the Suboxone methadone clinic there. We issued them a letter, stating all of the requirements that came with their conditional use permit for them to operate their business there. And, they have not been meeting that, obviously, with a lot of the issues that we've been having in the area. They had requirements like they were supposed to do a 5-block security check within a 5-block radius. So we sent them a letter listing about 6 to 8 different things that they have to comply with. They have to provide us with a security plan. They have to provide us, you know, just to kind of check all the boxes. And if they don't comply with that, if they don't meet what we need them to, if it doesn't clean up there, we have the option to pull their conditional use permit.
Do we believe that almost everyone hanging around that area is associated in some way with that clinic?
Yes. You can go there at when they're not open, or go through there on the weekends. And the traffic is 10% of what it is during the week. So I know this weekend I went at 9 on Saturday and Sunday. I drove by at 9, 1, and 5. And it was a complete stark different comparison to what it is Monday through Friday there. So as a code enforcement, we don't do much with public, but the private property sector, we kind of believe that, you know, if we can address the issues in the head of the monster, then it'll trickle down from there and hopefully dissipate from there. So.
And we do have ordinances about, you know, creating trash and.
Yeah.
So there are ways of, you know, getting rid of people that are hanging out by your property, you know, that are creating trash, throwing needles in your yard, turning your dogs into drug addicts, you know, that sort of thing. And I think we need to enforce, you know, those things. Also, when you very first started, we had a property on Second Street where there was a group of people that were living behind a house that no one was living in. And you did a great job taking care of that. Is that this one here?
No, that one's on North Monroe.
Okay.
It might be, yeah, that one's
So
on
you didn't
North.
include that other one, but yeah, there was a whole big group of people
Yep.
living there and you moved them on. So, yeah, they were terrorizing the neighbors. So thank you.
No,
DJ.
no problem. Thank you for having me. Anything else?
I'd also like to remind all of you that we will be bringing forward, loitering, ordinance, at the next meeting. I believe that, our attorney just finished it up, so we weren't able to get it on this.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth.
thanks, DJ. I know you got some really, really big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I want to say,
Thank you. Yeah.
our city looks so much better now.
Thank
I just from months ago, I hear so many wonderful comments from people. You guys need to hear that too.
Thank you.
Wonderful job.
Means a lot.
In June, when you came down to my house with Bill,
Yes.
the vehicle on Thomas Street, that red car is still there on blocks. Right now it's leaning. It's right next to the parking. I'm afraid the kids getting there.
Okay.
Prioritize that. It's been there for over a year.
Yep, for sure.
And it's right next to the park. If it was right next to the park, I'd say we could.
Yep.
Put it on the list, but if she's some kids were dancing on that thing and it fell over, we could.
Yep, I'll put that on the list. So thank you so much.
While you're there, right across the street, they have no garbage service.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna like to not do a mayor's report today, since that was a wonderful report he just did, and we're really pressed for time, so we're gonna move to council reports right now. Councilperson Theodore.
Just a couple of quick items. The Railroad Quiet Zone Committee had a meeting at the library on Monday evening. We'll have another one, perhaps at least a month or more down the road. Right now, we're taking the opportunity to take at least a 30-day period to do some decibel readings and noise readings around the railroad track areas that are creating the most issues with noise. I wanted to also thank and commend Nick, our city engineer, and anyone else who was involved in applying for the grant that hopefully will bring in some money. I think it was for a $240,000 or $300,000 grant to actually do some formal analysis and study of the railroad track lines and the noise. Second item is LTAC, the lodging tax application. Applications for grants for LTAC funds, the period is open. It closes on November 7th. You can go to the Parks Department, speak to Director Barnum, get copies of those applications, fill them out, submit your application, and then the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee will meet probably in late November. Right now, we're shooting to hopefully maybe do it November 20th to consider those applications to award grants. And the last item I wanted to just mention real quick or bring up, and I'll direct to Mr. Haywood. You know, I know the speeding issue on 6th Street continues to be an issue and a bugaboo. I've had some extensive back and forth with Chief Green on that. I don't know if you have gone to the Public Safety Committee or asked them to address this and look into it. I don't know if this is something Public Safety Committee can look at further. I know there's a lot of areas in the city, but I just wanted to throw that out there. If it hasn't been considered, it really should be looked at in some way. Thank you.
Public Works has discussed it several times in meetings too, just I think we have been thinking about it and working on some type of solution and leaning towards the police works.
I appreciate it.
I think part of the issue is, 'cause I used to live on 6th Street too, they call it I-6 for a reason. You know? So I think really stop signs, people will stop using it as a through channel. I think we just have to have regular stop signs on there where people will, get sick of driving on it, and if they're running their stop signs, the cops can just wait there for them. And we used to deal with that in Texas, so it's,
Thank you. It'll be 2 years, the end of this year. I've been serving on the Maritime Washington Advisory Board as a representative of AWC. And I've been invited to return to that board for 2025. So that's a nice, thank you.
Councilperson Morris.
Thank you. I'll try to be as quick as possible. So I serve on the Grace Harbor County Homeless Housing Task Force, and we are beginning the process in earnest of compiling the 5-year plan for the county. And what that consists of, the objectives are to promote an equitable accountable and transparent homeless crisis response system, strengthen the homeless service provider workforce, prioritize assistance based on the greatest barriers to housing stability and the greatest risk of harm, house everyone in a stable setting that meets their needs, and design, develop process on how to evaluate housing capital projects for public investment. To that end, I've been appointed to two of the subcommittees that are going to be working on this, the Capital Projects Committee and Strengthening the Homeless Service Provider Workforce. And that plan is mandated to be due by the state at the end of 2025. So when we have our next meeting, I will provide the council with an update.
Thank you.
Casey, what is that board again that you're on?
It's the Grace Harbor Homeless Housing Task Force.
Grays Harbor Homeless that's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilperson Francie.
Just want to say thank you to Val Clarkson, and also Public Works for picking up and disposing of the 100 pounds of garbage that were moved from the southeast side of the Chehalis Bridge at the mouth of Oliver Creek by the old Donovan Mineral Boiler Room. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Lawrence.
Yeah, at our public works meeting yesterday, we also were talking about the train noise, and I think Director Sanger ordered some decibel readers for us. Four. We have 4 coming, so we'll be able to use those.
Good job. Anybody else? We're gonna move on to staff reports now. Got a city administrator. Clemens.
Good evening, council. For the sake of time, I will bring my report to all of you next week, but I just wanted to let you know that as of October 3rd, that was officially my 2-year anniversary with the city. And I'd like to think that, I just would like to hope that for those of you that have been on the council longer than 2 years, that you've seen a significant difference in the city, and that you have not come to regret your decision in appointing me to this position. So thank you all. And so like I said, my first day when I was appointed, onward and upward Aberdeen. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, any directors want to give a report? Director Scott?
Just real quick, I just wanted to shout out to code enforcement. They have been phenomenal. We're very proud of them for all the work that they've been doing. Also, tonight on the agenda is the first reading of the new zoning code. People keep referring to it as a rezone. It's not a rezone, it's a zoning code update, or just really a total rewrite of the zoning code. And tonight there was a comment on that, and I just wanted to say that while I appreciate the comment on the waterfront zone for the asphalt plant, it is grandfathered in. They'll be able to get permits to expand, to remodel, whatever they need to do. But if you make a change to the waterfront zone, that would allow that use to come in everywhere. So if you feel it necessary to make a change, I would make it to a conditional use. Therefore, it would allow us to look at the areas where if a new one was coming in, where we could take a look at that. But again, this use is already grandfathered in. It's not gonna go anywhere unless they decide to eliminate it. And they can still get permits and go forward with whatever they need to do. Councilmember Ellis.
Doesn't AC stand for asphaltic concrete? So that if the zoning code allows for concrete, then it would also allow for asphalt?
You know, that's a good question, but I don't know specifically down to that detail. But
Thank you. Any other directors? All right, now we'll go down to a request for council action. Finance Chair Siegel, please.
Thank you, Mayor Orr. Tonight is the date set for a public hearing on Bill 24-06, an ordinance relating to application fees required regarding increased costs in the administration of business licenses. I move we open this public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is now open. comments?
I move we close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed.
And this is under ordinances and resolutions, this is second reading of Bill 24-06, an ordinance relating to application fees required regarding increased costs in the administration of business licenses. I move that we accept this ordinance, second reading.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Yes, thank you.
As a person who, pays for a business license in town, Aberdeen has been behind the 8 ball in terms of not having an annual renewable permit and the amount that's assessed. And, I'm happy to see this, so that we're more in line with our adjacent cities.
Any other comment?
I'd like to see, the original fee be higher and then, next year be lower.
Yeah, is raising to $50 a vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But I'd like to see the original fee when you first get your license would be like $150.
Please use your mic.
oh, your mic, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Is that?
$150. I mean,
Is that a motion to amend this ordinance?
yeah.
Squeeze them a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to amend it to have the original fee be $100. And then the next fees would be lowered back down to 50.
For purposes of discussion, I'll second that.
All right, has been a first and second. Now, is there any further discussion?
Let's not get too greedy too quickly.
No? So would this be a roll call vote then, or no? Oh, okay, hold on here, Director, Councilperson Ellis.
I just wanted to point out that when people get their business license, it's good for a 12-month period, regardless of what month they get it. So, you don't have to worry about getting your business license late in the year and being essentially penalized for that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, this is for the addressing the increase in the license.
To 100.
To 100. So what the council now says is they do want to raise it to 100. Is that what everybody just voted on? I want to make sure we're all clear.
To make sure.
They're kind of close. Could we get a roll call vote on the, vote for the amendment, please?
So we're voting on the amendment.
Yeah, we
So
should.
this is a roll
Voting on
call
the amendment.
vote on the amendment to the motion to raise the original fee to $100 with a $50 reoccurring fee. Ellis,
Yes.
Francie,
No.
Aiken,
Yes.
Hodgkin,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Morrison,
No.
Bertini,
No.
Fredo,
No.
Theodore,
No.
Moore,
Yes.
Taylor.
No.
That's tied 6-6, Mr. Mayor.
I hate these, and I paid, so I'm gonna say yes. I don't like to get. Okay.
So that passes 7-6 as an amended second reading for the original fee to be $100 and the reoccurring fee to be $50. So the amendment passes, we still need a vote to approve the second reading as amended.
Okay,
A motion and a vote.
So moved.
Well, I think the motion was already made.
yeah,
And seconded.
that's all I'd say. Is there any more discussion?
We need a motion as amended. So we have a first, but we have a second.
And we have a second.
Who was the second?
I'll approve the motion.
Okay, so now is there any further discussion on this? All in favor? Opposed?
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we actually move this bill this ordinance to third reading and for approval, so that we can meet, Department of Revenue's, limitations on getting this enacted as of January 1.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? So this will be a roll call.
Roll call vote to move Bill 24-06 to its third reading and final passage. Ellis?
Yes.
Francie?
Yes.
Aiken?
Yes.
Hodgkin?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Lawrenson?
No.
Pericini?
Yes.
Fredo?
Yes.
Sedor?
Yes.
Swore?
Yes.
Taylor?
No.
That passes 10-0, Mr. Mayor. This will be ordinance 6-7. I intended right to, as I say, 10-2, ordinance 6713.
Thank you. Let's move on to public safety with Chairperson Hodgkin.
Okay. So we have, the Aberdeen Police Department has provided emergency police services by an interlocal agreement since May 1st of 2024. That agreement expires on October 31st of 2024. The city of Cosmopolis has requested we amend and extend the agreement for an additional 6 months through April of 2025. It is recommended that the Public Safety Committee, that the Aberdeen City Council approve the first amendment to the interlocal agreement by and between the city of Aberdeen and the city of Cosmopolis.
Second. First and second, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, now we'll go to Public Works with Chairperson Lawrence.
Thank you. Got some reports here and requests from Public Works recommending that the city council authorize the mayor to execute amendment 1 to GNO task order number 8 for the critical WWTP improvements projects. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Request from Public Works recommending that the city council authorize the purchase of 1.24 acre portion of property from the Weyerhaeuser Timber Company for the enhanced safety at the Aberdeen Police Department firearm tracing facility. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this?
A quick question.
Yes.
I don't know if this would be to, Mr. Cox, Lieutenant, I apologize, is it Lieutenant Cox?
Yes.
Or to City Administrator Clemens. Is this because of a safety concern, an issue we want a greater area, for firearms?
Yeah, I believe, Director Stanger can speak to it, but I believe that is the area where we plan to put the long-range rifle.
Full disclosure, we already cut down some of the trees. We thought it was on their property and we ended up taking a few trees. We reached out to Weyerhaeuser, explained the mistake, threw ourselves on the sword and said, we're sorry and we want to pay. And as it turned out, we also needed that property to make it safer. It's actually buying the adjoining property that goes up to the top of the ridge, which would make it a much safer site. So we can cut the trees down to open up those sight lines, so that when people are actually shooting downrange, they can see ridge line to ridge line to make sure that there's nobody out there in the trees.
Are you authorized to disclose the amount at this point or not?
I think so.
I'm curious how much we're paying for 1.24 acres.
$11,000 and it's fully timbered, or it was.
Thank you.
Mr. Sanger, Director Sanger, are you talking about clear cutting the rest of the trees, ridge line to ridge line?
Absolutely. 1.24 acres. Cut them all.
And sell them, please.
We're gonna use, we hope to use them as, that's like 2 or 3 log truck loads. That's not a lot of timber and it's required for safety. Absolutely.
It'll make it great.
Nothing prettier than clear cut.
Could they be constructed into a backstop?
Like,
Could the log be constructed into a backstop?
that's
Like a rigid mound? Perfect.
Any more discussion? All All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Request from Public Works recommending that the city council authorize the mayor to execute attachment B partnership agreement as written. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Request from Public Works recommending the city council take a vote to determine if an amended or an ordinance should be prepared regarding the removal of fluoride from the city water supply. I move that we adopt this report.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? Yeah, Councilperson Ellis.
Yeah, we've heard, a number of speakers, we've gotten a number of letters from citizens, from, professional groups. And I appreciate the concerns, and ultimately, as a non-scientist, I feel like I need to trust the people who we pay to represent our public health and the science of record, which shows that there just isn't the evidence that fluoride is attributed to, at least at the rates we have in our water, is not attributed to the kinds of things that we've heard are concerns. And in my ward may well have the highest number of low-income families, and we know it's so hard for people to get medical care and dentistry care. I'll be voting no, I'll be voting to keep fluoride in our water system.
Thank you, Councilperson Morrison.
Councilmember Taylor and I from Ward 1 also have a lot of low income folks, in our ward, most of whom that responded to the survey indicated that they wanted fluoride removed, and that holds for the people that I've spoken with. I have issues with, informed consent, not being, people aren't giving informed consent to have this chemical put in their water. And I think it's really important to note that there was recently a federal court ruling that found that the fluoride in the water at present considered optimal levels in the US poses a potential unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. So I'm sure you've all gotten a copy of the court case. It's about 80 pages. It's an interesting read. So I'll be voting yes to remove fluoride from the water. I'm thinking about the kids who are the ones that are the most vulnerable to this. There are a plethora of other ways to get fluoride. I know that we've heard a lot from a lot of professionals, worried about cavities and everything else. I understand that, but there are other ways to get fluoride. I just don't think that our water supply should be one of them. So, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I can also clarify, this vote tonight is purely for an amended ordinance to be brought back to the future meetings. So tonight you're just voting to continue the process of potentially removing. Just for clarification, because I worded it a little funny on here.
Thanks. Councilperson Sealer.
I've mulled this issue over in my mind frequently over the last couple months, and it's a really challenging one. I'm not a scientist. I've heard from both sides. Both sides present compelling opinions, data, evidence, information. Ultimately, what I've decided is going to come down to listening to the majority of the voters in my ward, who were the majority of the largest constituency of voters who opined on this issue, with the majority saying they wanted to keep it. So I would vote to keep the fluoride in the water.
If there wasn't another way to get fluoride, I might, consider keeping it. But being a mother of four and having a daughter who has my teeth, unfortunately, she brushed and flossed better than any of her siblings and has cavities, unfortunately, like her mother. And then I've got other kids who just don't have cavities. They took after their dad. So I don't know how much it helps, but if it hurts, I don't want that. And there is a huge rise in autism. And I don't know that it's fluoride that's causing the problem, but let's get it out and let people brush with some fluoride toothpaste.
Councilperson Francie.
Okay, this is gonna be hard. I lost my teeth last year. I have big teeth now. I've drank in Aberdeen water almost my entire life. I blame Mountain Dew, which is a thing in Appalachia. They have been saying it, Mountain Dew will melt your teeth out. There's even a lawsuit because somebody said they found a rat skeleton in a bottle of soda. That company argued, no, that rat skeleton would have melted by the time it reached the skull. Okay, and I have an 8-year-old daughter, so this is a hard one for me, but I have looked at these studies. I've looked at the National Toxicology Program, which states that 1.5 milligrams per liter is associated with lower IQ in children. And then there was recently the colleges of Manchester, Dundee, and Aberdeen, UK, did a meta study, 157 studies. Let's see, 21 of them were about adding fluoride to the water. One was about removed, and 135 were the association with fluoride in water and dental fluorosis. They analyzed all the studies that have been done, and this was released days ago. They found that 1/4 of a tooth is saved from a water fluoridation program. 1/4 of a tooth. They found that 7.7 milligrams per liter contributes to about 12% of people having dental fluorosis that they're bothered, but 40% have some. Fluorine, which is the gas form of fluoride, is one of the most reactive chemicals that there is. It's binds with the calcium in your teeth. It's just, when you drink it, it goes through your body and your kidneys filter it out. The stuff that doesn't get into your teeth, and your bones. And of course, I mean, if you get 4 milligrams a liter, you have the risk of dental fluorosis, skeletal fluorosis, which is unexplained pains in your skeleton. So I'm gonna be voting to remove it.
Thank you, Councilperson Perigini.
Okay, I've really debated back and forth and I've talked to people on both sides. But reading the conclusions of law that was handed down in California, the plaintiffs have proven by a preponderance of evidence that water fluoridation adds unreasonable risk and injury to people drinking it. And if all this evidence was presented by both sides, the court determined that they couldn't prove that it was safe, then I will side with the court and I will vote not to have fluoride. So that's it.
All right, seeing no other discussion. Councilperson Lawrence.
If there's a chance that it lowers IQs in infants and children, and it helps your teeth. So you take it out, maybe you're gonna have some bad teeth. You can fix your teeth, but I guarantee you're not gonna raise somebody's IQ back up.
Exactly.
They gotta teach dental hygiene in schools like they used to when I was a kid. I don't know if they teach it anymore, but they need to show people how to brush and floss and take care of the teeth. And we shouldn't be forced to have this chemical put in our water. I don't think it's up to the city to treat people's teeth. That's all I have to say.
I just want to say really quick, so I just went to the dentist yesterday and I saw a picture of all the cavities in my mouth. And almost every tooth has a cavity, but I haven't had the cavity in my adult life since I was like 17 or 18. Since we moved to Hoquiam, I haven't had a cavity. So I brush my teeth now. When I was a kid, we lived here and my mom was poor. She wasn't on welfare, but she was poor and she never, maybe we had a toothbrush once, I don't know. But we grew up just like a lot of kids in this area. And I don't think my mom was that much into, I mean, she didn't have any teeth. She has dentures. Well, she did before she died. And most of my family have all lost their teeth. And I'm blessed that I've lived in bigger cities where they've had fluoride and the rest of my siblings haven't. So if I were voting, I would say keep it because I'm not the smartest cookie in the shed that I think if I lost 1 point of IQ, I don't know that that would make me a different person. I would still be pretty much as smart as I am.
My daughter has autism. And when she was diagnosed, when she was normal, she was normal. We just had my oldest daughter 11 months before. So we just went through the process of watching development. We just went through the process of watching a child develop. And my middle child was developing at a normal rate. She was breastfed, so she didn't get contact with water. Right around the time she had about 11 months, 12 months, when she started to take glasses of water. Within weeks of her doing that, when her autism.
Yeah, but you're just guessing.
It's a sensitivity, no, and I'm not guessing, I'm saying this is a possibility. There's a sensitivity heavy metals.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be commenting. Sure, I told her.
Yeah, it's. The only thing that was added to her diet was local water. Everything was fine. She was breastfed. She had apple juice and breast milk. And when we started offering her water, is when everything happened. That's a small part of why I'm voting for it, to remove it. I can't prove anything. I mean, my other two kids are fine, but her individual sensitivity, with inability to process heavy metals could have been a great factor when she started using our nutrition. It's a great possibility both could have caused. It's the only new factor in the timing of this. But the amounts of those 2 water bottles that he showed us, that's when you get over the 0.7. And my daughter, who is drinks like 8 of those a day easily. So she's even way over the amount by 11 o'clock in the morning. And there's no way for me to tell her, no, you can't have more water from the refrigerator unless there's fluoride in. And I would like to be able to give her clean, clear water without added chemicals.
Thank you. Councilperson Morris.
More thing, you know, for the benefit of the public, and I got this email today from a constituent, I did send it to the council. I won't read the whole thing, but I do want to read part of it because it's something that I've heard echoed from a lot of people in the community, advice that they're getting from their medical health professionals. She says, Casey, my husband suffered massive traumatic brain injury from a fall on ice and spent many months in Harborview and a few years in rehab. Following his rehab, he's had multiple visits with neurological specialists. Several years ago, one of them talked to us about avoiding fluoride in all forms since it is a known neurotoxin and could impede his recovery process. That's from medical health professionals at Harborview telling her to avoid fluoride with her husband. And it's not the first time I've heard something like that. So I just wanted to share that for the benefit of the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just add a little bit here, and open up a can of worms. When it came time to get vaxxed with COVID, there were some people that had a real bad reaction to it. And then there are some people that were completely fine. you know, and so it's how your body reacts to something. My youngest daughter, has a blood clotting disorder that we didn't discover until she was having one miscarriage after the other. You know, my other kids don't have that, you know, so we're all individual. If she had gotten the vax, it would have been really dangerous for her. So, I say, you know, there's other ways to get fluoride. If you really want to, you know, have fluoride, there's ways to get it. And, maybe even the health department could, you know, give drops to people who are really concerned and want it in their water, but you can brush with fluoride, you know, so that's my feeling.
Okay, two things real quick. The meta study the colleges of Aberdeen, did, found that after the 1970s, when fluoride toothpaste became available, the levels of benefits of having in your water increased. Also, if you are to make baby formula, they advise you not to use fluoride water. It's too much fluoride. Wow.
Yeah, and
I've looked at it many times.
Councilperson, okay. Okay, Councilperson Bella.
Thank you. The recent California study has been referenced.
So she called the question.
Questions, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
so we need to vote. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Can we get a roll call, please?
Ellis,
No.
Francie,
Yes.
Aiken,
Yes.
Hodgkin,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Archini,
Yes.
Fredo,
No.
Theodore,
No.
Moore,
No.
Taylor.
Yes.
That passes 8-4, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so right now we move on to ordinances and resolutions.
A resolution amending the adopted 6-year transportation improvement plan. A resolution, I move that we adopt this resolution.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Will be resolution 2024-20.
And with a resolution accepting loan agreement number, from the Department of Ecology ending in 160. I move that you adopt this resolution.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Will be resolution 2024-21.
Resolution accepting loan agreement, from the Department of Ecology ending in 172.
Second. Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
This will be resolution 2024-22.
A resolution accepting loan agreement from the Department of Ecology ending in 173.
Second. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Or opposed? Passes.
Will be resolution 2024-23.
And the first reading of Bill 24-07, an ordinance amending the zoning code of the city of Aberdeen. I move that we adopt this ordinance.
Second. Any discussion? Councilperson Sedor?
I appreciate Director Scott noting, as I was going to do, that the concern of Lakeside Industries, they would be grandfathered. And we can ensure that if we have to, like putting something specific in the code on their specific use, but I don't think we need to do that. So, I think we should proceed with this.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Sorry.
And that's all from the Public Works.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going on to special committee items with Council President Swore.
Yes, we have a request from the Board of Museum and History recommending the City Council deassess the items listed for the museum collection. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, we're moving on to good of the order.
Yeah, I want to make a motion that we allow, Dr. Bill to come back in, to make a presentation on fluoride and, I mean, to be determined date.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that? That's Councilperson Sedor.
I don't see the reason for that. I mean, the motion tonight passed 8-4. It's pretty obvious where the majority of the council is going on fluoride. So I don't even see the point of continuing to belabor the debate on it.
I would like to hear from him.
I disagree. I would too.
Yeah. I'd like to hear from him.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ellis,
No.
Ramsey,
Yeah.
was that a yes? Gagan,
Yes.
Hodgkin,
Yes.
Lawrence,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Gerardini,
Yes.
Fredo,
No.
Sedor,
No.
Swore,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 8-4.
Thank you.
Surprise.
Okay, so, Council President Swore.
Hey, I I move that we recess into executive session for up to 20 minutes. Action is not anticipated after the executive session. The purpose of the executive session is in accordance with RCW 42.30.110 to consider if in compliance with any required data security breach disclosure under RCW 19.255.010 and 42.56.590. And with legal counsel available, information regarding the infrastructure and security of computer and telecommunications networks, security and service recovery plans, security risk assessments, and security test results to the extent that they identify specific system vulnerabilities and other information that, if made public, may increase the risk of the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of agency security or to information technology, infrastructure, or assets.
What was that again?
Second,
What was that?
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Right, it's 8:05, we'll be back at 8:25. Actually.
Oh, I can't sit at all. Keep standing as long as I'm permitted.
Right, we have enough.
My body hurts. Motion to reconvene? Yeah, with intention. Can I get a second?
Josh seconded.
I just lost my jaw.
No.
Mr. Mayor, we've had a motion and a second to reconvene.
So
Now it's your turn.
I move that we move and leave. We don't know.
Say all in favor.
All in favor? Opposed? Five.
Well, so now we're
Now
reconvened.
we're convened. Now we have that.
Deb moved to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.